Vernon Jones, I think a lot of people were really scared throughout this pandemic, especially early on, not knowing the unknown was certainly the kind of thing that created some fear. And the government moved pretty swiftly in order to impose a bunch of lockdowns and mandates on people's lives. What did you think of the response in America to those lockdowns and mandates? Did you think that it was strong enough? Were you concerned that sort of the fighting spirit for liberty wasn't burning maybe quite as bright as you'd hoped? I certainly have looked back and thought that at times, like, man, I kind of wish more Americans were standing up to some of this right now. What did you think?
Well, many of us stood up for it, but we were criticized and ostracized by the liberal media. Sure. It was borderline tyranny. We had become a police state. Think about this. The government was telling you on Thanksgiving how many people you can have in your house. Mm-hmm. And if you had 10 or more people in your house, you could be arrested. Wait a minute, where in the hell did that come from? Nowhere in our Constitution does it say, in the event of a pandemic, we become a police state. Joe Biden overstepped his reach. The Supreme Court just ruled when he tried to say if you have 100 or more businesses, then you have to make sure your employees get vaccinated. Look at how many employees gave up their jobs based on their principles and their constitutional rights.
Isn't there a testing option for those companies with 100 or more?
No, we're not talking about testing options.
But there is in the mandate that you can either submit to weekly testing or you can get vaccinated.
You're referring to the OSHA mandate. There's a healthcare mandate that doesn't have that exception.
Yeah, but that's for the federal government. We're talking about businesses.
But the federal government, Joe Biden's executive order told businesses, if you're 100 or less, 100 or more, your employees going to have, one of the things we have to do is get vaccinated, unless they get the religious exemption. So, go back to what I said. There were people who were subjected to mandates of this vaccination. And it was just wrong. And the Constitution was upheld, apparently, when the Supreme Court ruled that Joe Biden couldn't do that. Now I'm looking at these healthcare workers, because if they get federal dollars at these facilities, they're still subjected to it. But just a year ago, we had no vaccination. And those nurses were our heroes. Now, look at them. Now they're considered zeros. They're being terminated if they don't take the vaccination. Jason, now that's just flat wrong. I think you can agree with that.
So we've got constitutional, at least we've got constitutional, and the Supreme Court has backed the idea that vaccine mandates are legal. The question was whether you can impose them nationally, and federally. But if you were governor of the state of Georgia, you could impose a vaccine mandate, and that's backed up by the law.
Well, if I were governor of Georgia and I support,
not saying that you would, I know you wouldn't.
No, I would be a hypocrite. No, I would look at Ron.
But it's legal. What I'm saying is that vaccine mandates are legal. They've been backed up by the Constitution. We're not
saying that it's not legal, but what we're saying is that you cannot force a person to take that vaccination. That's why Ron DeSantis did what he did down in Florida. Although Joe Biden said this, but because the federal law is silent on this. That's why he came and passed a law that you are not going to require people to get that vaccination. I don't care if your company has 100 or 50. We are not going to have that in Georgia. In Florida. So he understood what was in the Constitution, what was federal law versus no law. And when the federal law is silent, state law can take precedence if they choose to pass something. And that's what they did. And so let's go back to the core of this. It's mandates. It's telling people you're going to have to take this vaccination. And you know what? Many of us are standing up for our medical freedoms because we believe it's wrong. And we have a right to protest for our rights too.
Absolutely. That's part of your First Amendment rights. You always have the right to protest peacefully, but not like
not like Black Lives Matter.
Not like